Hey, 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 self storage. Welcome. Episode 73, Gabfocus. This is our annual tech episode. I am so stoked. Melissa, happy America's birthday to you. How are you
I
doing?
know, right? Happy birthday, Stars and Stripes. Yep.
Yes.
Very, very excited. It's summertime, so I am happy. So I will be poolside right after this.
And I imagine if it's the audience, some of y'all are already poolside, and the ones who are not are excited to get to the pool. So we're going to
Yeah.
jump right into it. Y'all, welcome. Again, this is episode 73. Melissa and I are so honored and stoked that we get to do this monthly for y'all. And it's really not for y'all, it's for us. We have as much fun, if not more fun, than even the audience. But today, I want to introduce two good people in the self storage business. I'm going to start with James because you're to my right. James, North Carolina, LiveSwitch, background in tech, has been here in self storage for the last couple years. Welcome to the Gabfocus stage, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Excited for the holiday coming up. One of my
Uh,
daughters is turning, it's her birthday. So, as I was saying earlier, so the 4th of Julia.
Fourth of Julia. I love it, man. Well, for the audience, for maybe the folks who haven't heard or don't know about LiveSwitch, give us like the 20-second version. Who are y'all? What do you do?
Yep. So we are one of the few companies in the world that specialize in live and recorded video. So anyone interested in doing remote management or hybrid management as you take on more facilities with less people, we're all trying to figure out our top and bottom lines. We are going to help enable all of that. Whatever kind of property you have, website. So we are your video go-to company.
Love it, man. Go-to video company. I'm excited for y'all's insight. I mean, y'all are a high-tech company, and
Mhm.
you bring a different level of, I think, tech experience than I think what self-storage operators are used to, right? I mean, you'd expect if we're talking about tech, we'd have a gate operator or a security gate, security cameras. I think we're going to bring some really cool tech experience here. So, James, welcome, and I'm glad you're here. And then his compadre today, one and only Michael. Welcome to the Guy Focus stage, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Michael's joining us from New York, 2 years in industry, plenty of experience in tech, plenty of experience in multifamily before joining Cubby, a brand new software company, upcoming to joining us from New York, man. Glad to have you here. In case the audience doesn't know who Cubby is, which I think Cubby's done a great job of getting your name and word out there, give us a
Yeah.
20-second. Who's Cubby? What do y'all do?
Yeah, at our core, we're a management software, but we do a lot more than that. So we've got mutual customers with Tommy over here, and we can power a really nice e-commerce checkout flow on really any website that you want. And then beyond that, we also offer some pretty cool stuff in the revenue management space, as well as the call center. We can't really come up with a better word, but basically embedded VoIP software to answer the phones through the management software instead of using a separate, you know, like Ring Central or something like that.
Right on. Awesome, man. Well, excited to get y'all's take on a lot of these things. I know one of the cool things that before this show even began was tons of submitted questions from the audience that we got via email. So, Roy, I'm excited to answer your question and a few others. And of course, y'all, Gap Focus brought to you by our teams here in East Tennessee with Love, StoragePug, and Lighthouse Storage Solutions. Melissa and Josh. Can't believe we've done this is our 73rd episode.
It's
Insane.
insane.
Not a lot of things make it to episode 73, so
Right.
we're proud. So we're two away from our 75th. So looking forward to that. But if this is your first time joining us, because you saw the email come out talking about tech, welcome. We're going to go for about an hour. Melissa and I are going to take turns asking questions that have been pre-submitted and pre-curated, but we will also ask your questions live. So if you have questions posted in the live Q&A tool, I love seeing the comment section pop off, don't get me wrong, but because sometimes it goes too fast, I might not see the question. So post it to the live Q&A and we can see you there. Today's agenda, making the most out of your tech. I think a lot of times operators see the shiny new toy, and I think there's a good opportunity to evaluate the toys that I already have in my toy box. How can I make the most out of those? But of course, we're going to have plenty of time to talk about new tech as well. And then we'll wrap it up with question of the week. So intros out of the way, Melissa, let's jump right in.
All right. Here we go, guys. Um, So when it comes to storage technology, software and hardware, what do you consider to be essential for every facility?
Which one of us do you want to go first?
Just jump right in.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. First time. No, I think at its core, you do need a management software. You don't need to spend $1 million on it. But, I talk to folks who are using QuickBooks or just good old pen and paper. It's just not going to get it done today, regardless of your size. I think you need
Yeah.
a modern website. Again, you don't need to spend $1 million on it, but you need somewhere where people can find you and interact. You need software or technology to answer the phones. I think answering the phones is one of the most important things you can do in the business. And then in most instances, maybe not 100%, but you usually want or need gate access hardware that's integrated with your management software. Again, you shouldn't be driving down to the facility to change gate access codes.
So
Okay.
I think about technology, I'm always thinking about my customers and where they're at in that journey. Some customers, bless their heart, don't even have a smartphone yet, right? I don't know how. I think you get one issued to you when you get born nowadays. Like, here's your smartphone. Welcome to the world.
I know, right?
At least my kids are banging down my door for a smartphone, right? So it's getting into that smartphone. This is where people are shopping from nowadays, right? From the couch. We're all
Mhm.
Amazon Prime. I bet everybody on all 108 people on here, Amazon Prime, and we expect things immediately, and how that buying experience affects the technology that you want to have. Everything Michael was saying, I totally agree with, right? But we want to be
Mhm.
convenient. We want to be fast. We want to be in front of that customer. We want to give great customer service, right? In a way that's practical, affordable, and it just we want to make that experience in a different way. So when we're shopping from home, I don't want to put all 4 of my kids in the van and go from self-storage to self-storage facility on a Saturday. Those Saturdays
Yeah.
are precious for me. And then try to get my 4-year-old to be quiet while we're walking around a self-storage facility.
Yeah.
That ain't
Oh,
happening.
well, I'll even take that a step further, James. Now, when I'm on Amazon, I want to do the one click to buy because I don't even want to put my credit card information in again because I'm doing that so frequently. So I think with each step that the consumer takes, they want that next piece. And ooh, I like that. That's easy. You can make it easier.
Done.
Okay, let me take it easier. And they might not jump all in the very first time with technology, but they are more likely to take the next step once they see how well it does work. They're like, "Oh, this is better than I thought. I like this experience."
Mm-hmm.
So,
That's right.
You know what's great? I'm glad you brought that up though, Melissa. Do you know when Amazon patented the one click checkout? They
no,
actually have a
when?
patent on it. 1999. So we've been doing this as a society for almost
Really?
30 years, right? Like 20,
Oh my
25, 26
gosh.
years now. So Amazon start now, of course, they didn't fully like truly implement and everything,
Yeah.
right, until much later than 1999. But yeah, that's when they
Wow.
got it filed with the U.S. Patent Office. I think since then the one click has expired, so now other brands can use it as well. But yeah, like
Okay.
that's how we've shopped. That's how like a lot of people
Yeah.
grew up with the internet. Is like it's easy. It's easy to
Mm-hmm.
order a pizza or buy a pair of Nikes.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
So we need a
so
one-click lease, right?
yes.
So true. So
Right?
true. And I
Yes.
think that's a frustrating thing to see in our industry is that as consumers, our customers are light years ahead. And for some reason, we're still hanging on saying, oh no, our customers won't be okay with that. Yes, they are. They ordered something on Amazon this morning, or they ordered their groceries to be sent to them from Walmart today. Like, yes, they are. They are okay with this. If you drive into town and you need to pay for parking, you downloaded the app on your phone to pay for the parking spot. There's so many things that we don't give our tenants credit for, I think. So we're
Yeah,
shortchanging ourselves.
we use that as an excuse, right? That's an excuse.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's too, well, we're just saying, without politely saying it, is it's too hard. We don't have any.
Yeah.
Who's going to invent
Ooh,
that for me,
that's
right?
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
If
that's
you
a cool take.
design and think from a one-click perspective, it's actually harder to make things simpler,
Yeah.
right? When you look across your process, you look across your tech stack, the more you add, the harder you're making it for your team, for your tenants. So we want to work to simplify, and we need to
Mhm.
find technology, since we're talking about tech right now, that can do that type of one-click approach.
No, I
So
love that.
in light of this, of what you guys consider to be essential, what do you think is the most underutilized tech?
Yeah, I think from my perspective, I talk with a lot of folks that still heavily underinvest in not just their website, but taking it a step further in professional help on the marketing front. So you can have the best website in the world if you're not directing eyeballs there with someone who knows how to do that. It doesn't really matter. And what's going to happen is you're not going to get as many online rentals as you'd like, and or you're going to spend way too much to get the ones that you do get. So I hear a lot of folks that, try to do it themselves and don't, have that expertise necessarily. It's okay. You're going to get a lot of ROI out of working with someone like Melissa or Tommy or any of the other very reputable marketing consultants in the space to say, hey, this is the website I was able to afford. Like, how can we make the most of it? That's definitely something that I just don't see enough of. And the second piece I would say is technology around revenue management. I'll get on a call with people and ask, what's your approach to revenue management? And half of people just go completely blank. It's like one of the more important levers in the business that I'm sure we'll talk more about later. But there's people who haven't changed their street rates in months, haven't done existing tenant rate increases in years. These are simple things that you can do regardless of your tech. And there is tech to help you make more informed decisions there. So those are the two things that I would say.
Love that. James, I want to get your take too, but I want to, Brian LaForest had a great question that I in the comment that I just happened to glance at. He asked, going back about online rentals and online e-commerce, is like, is it true for customers in rural areas? And Melissa, your answer is absolutely, yeah, spot on, overwhelmingly. Our analytics actually show some of our rural clients actually do better online. I think this is why. All consumers want it easy. You don't think Jeff Bezos is shipping to like the boonies in Mississippi? Jeff Bezos is. And I think what happens is business owners, maybe in rural markets, don't think that like that. And so their consumers are like, they're parched. They're dying for ease. They're dying to make it easier. So as soon as you install a process that is easy, it just overwhelmingly gets turned on and adopted and accepted and rejoiced. So yes, I think Brian, rural or not. And so one thing that we
love you, Heather.
No hating on Mississippi.
We love you.
I always pick on Mississippi. I'm so sorry. I've never been there. Actually, I've been to Biloxi. I do love my Mississippians, but I do always pick on y'all. I pick on Tennessee too, though. We just got internet last year, so we get it. But I think like that's the reality is like boonies or not, all consumers want things easy. And plus 5G internet is basically everywhere now. And so people's mobile devices, people's iPads and iPhones and Android phones, everything is basically instant and fast now. And so they can order a pizza, they can buy a pair of Nikes and get something on Amazon and it'll be here within hours. I think self-storage we shouldn't excuse ourselves from ease, if it makes sense. Yeah.
Right.
What I also say there is like, if you don't offer online rentals today, let's just say 10% of your potential customers would want to do it that way. That's still like a slice of the pie that there's no way 0 people want to do it that way, right? So
that's a great take and good reminder, because a good month, we're not talking like we need to rent 50 more units this month for it to be good. Right. A good month can literally be 3 more customers, right? And that's awesome. And we want that, right? And so, I think the more, the broader your reach can be with your audience and making it easy, the better it's going to be. So
in the rural markets, it's really easy for you to be one of the only people that's offering this service, which makes it even better for the customers your potential customers that are actually looking for that thing. You can easily stand out in your crowd. So,
The thing I see missing, and by the way, I'm actively looking for a property for myself. That's news, right? But as I'm doing this and we're evaluating different properties, I can tell you that digital transformation is desperately needed in this industry. And I'm in tons of different industries, right? So I get the interesting viewpoint of seeing where everybody is in their digital transformation. And self-storage, we have a good way to go. Right? We need a data-driven transformation, right? You guys are just speaking to it, right? When you know it, when you're in it, you just speak the language. Sometimes we forget what it's like not to be have gone through the digital transformation yet as an owner, or haven't relied heavily on that data. We've just put up our facility. Everyone knows our name. I don't even need a website. I'm fully occupied. I don't even have a website. So they might come the other way, right? Because they are the only game in town. It's like, you're the only game in town, right? What happens when that next facility moves in, though? right?
Yeah.
Or
What
if your
happens
account
when you're
starts to
not?
expand,
Yeah.
like get ahead of it. I see a lot of reactionary instead of being
Mm.
proactive, right? Even just learning about it. No one is up here saying implement everything, but it's worth taking the time to educate yourself in each one of these areas because we're always encouraging people to crawl, walk, and run. Don't sleep on the couch. We're gonna go from sleep on the couch to crawling. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It also, investing in tech in any way doesn't take away from what you already do well, right? Like you're very good at, answering the phone, and you're very good at being in person and being friendly and keeping a clean facility. Like none of that stuff goes away. So I think
Yeah.
it's just another extra thing you can add.
I
Mhm.
think the other thing to think about too is some of us do a lot of secret shopping of our competitors, right? And secret shopping of ourselves. We go on property. But I want you to now, as your challenge from today, is I want you to shop yourself digitally. I want you to secret shop all of your competitors in your area digitally. How is your digital customer experience? Try to find the website. When you go to the website, is it convoluted? Is it hard? Like, does it work? Try to chat with the chat thing. Try to click the buttons. Do it for yourself first, and then see what your competition around you is doing, and see how you can become easier to do business with online, because that
Yeah.
is where people live first.
I love
We
that.
forget that.
Some fabulous comments here. Jesse, any growth month is a good month. Chef's kiss, agreed. Tyler, not to mention modern digital experience communicates to a customer that you have your stuff together. Could help even a mid facility feel much more trustworthy. I totally agree with that. I was traveling with my wife to Georgia not 2 weeks ago. We had a little family trip. Love it. Great time. We were hungry, so we were going to order pizza. There was a local joint, and then there was a not local joint. We went with the not local joint because the local joint's website was just like, it was just, I would say it was miserable to use, but it was miserable to use. I couldn't like order my pizza. So we went, unfortunately, with the national chain because we wanted to try the local pizza in LaGrange, Georgia. Not renowned for their pizza by any means. But there was a mistrust there. It wasn't just that it
Yeah.
was hard to use. It was like, if they don't have this act together, then what else might they have, what else are they skimping on, right? So there's a little communication there. Heather said they're using tech at Laurel, which is a rural area, and people love it. Kevin, same thing. They've got a couple with full tech, love it. That's fantastic comments, y'all.
Yeah.
So James, I want to hit your take too on your official take on, when it comes to tech that's most underutilized. I know you kind of reference it there. What else? Is there anything else in a customer's tech stack that they're not fully maximizing?
Yeah, I also think that we're not maximizing like QR codes and things where we could. And I want to go two ways. One, you have no QR codes, okay? Or you got 18 QR codes that are so complicated, and you got a QR code for everything. Like, I also want to talk to you over tech people.
You get a QR code. You get
And you get a QR. I put one on my
And
forehead
use
in
the
case you wanna
QR code the
copy.
right way.
Yes. Back
Yeah.
to the experiencing it. It's no one thing to buy something. Great. You bought something. I can swipe my credit card for stuff all the time. Right.
Mhm.
So it's implementation, it's practicality, it's using it. Eat at your own restaurant. They always say, don't trust a skinny chef, right? They want to eat at your own restaurant. So if you're going to leverage these QR codes, whether it goes right to your website, whether it goes to a connection, whatever it's going to do, test it. And I've seen it done very well with clear signage that everyone can understand. I have seen it done so badly.
Yeah.
And I've seen it not exist. And I'm like, you don't have a
Yeah.
QR, And I was like, well, QR codes. I'm like, yeah, I got on the airplane using a QR code. Thank you, airplane industry, for onboarding everyone's like, the resurgence of QR codes came back. I'm like, yeah, thank Delta. So again, back to, will everyone understand? No, not 100% of everyone will understand, but the majority. It goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Yes, you're going to have a few folks that just aren't going to change for anybody, but this onboarding folks and then understanding what you want that QR code to do, making it clear to your tenant what it's going to do, and then actually it being a good experience, because tech can be a very bad experience. Don't we get pissed off sometime? Like, oh my gosh, this sucks. Like, we got to watch out for that too, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, James, not everyone's going to understand it, but you can't tailor your business for the 4 or 5% of people that might struggle with it, when there's 95% that love it and are ready to roll with it. Don't limit yourself because of the small handful of people that may struggle, because you can bring them along, you can educate them, you can hold their hand for a little while, you can put those things in practice so that they can also have a good experience without holding back everybody else.
I love that. So quick takes here. So we got I'm going to give you 5 topics. Give me like a 30-second take on these 5, right? So I'm gonna each of y'all can go. So I'll start with the first one. How can you use self-storage tech to enhance your marketing and convert more leads? Michael, go.
Regardless of your approach, I think just the management software needs to integrate very seamlessly with the website, and it needs to be very easy and fast to rent a unit. So what does that mean? We shouldn't ask for a million pieces of info. We wouldn't do that if you were, buying anything else online. The website itself needs to be really fast. You shouldn't see loading bars or spinny wheels or anything. I mean, you'd laugh, but like, you see it. And
Oh yeah.
just the last piece is, if it's not as easy as buying something on Amazon, like we've been talking about, you're going to lose a fraction or a big fraction of potential customers, especially that younger generation that doesn't want to talk on the phone with anybody, right? So,
Yeah, James, your take?
For me, know your algorithms. What's that mean? Know what Google's looking at. Google scrapes your website and it affects your search. Okay. And if you use stock photos, which a lot of people do, ranking going down. If you use authentic real photos, like have someone go out and take real photos of your facility, have real videos up there as well. Okay. Google will scrape that. And then, you want the organic one. You don't just want the one you paid for or you earned. You want the unearned stuff, but it's stuff you don't really know about. So you've got to be able to understand that going that extra distance, that authenticity, that extra mile. These LLMs, generative AI, and everyone's using these now with, your chat GPTs, as well as Google now rolling out these AIs. You got to understand how these robotics AIs are looking at your website and looking at your reviews, looking at all of those things. This is all comes together to put you in advance and get that extra tenant.
I love that. So number 2, improve customer experience. How can I use tech to improve customer experience? James, you go this time.
Yep. Don't ask it to do more than it can do, right? So AI, I'll just bang the drum. AI is awesome. I'm not when I think AI, I think like the Iron Man suit and Jarvis, right? And when it's done well, it's done well. But when it sucks,
yeah.
like when someone's pissed off on your property or someone wants to give you cash and they're dealing with the AI bot and the AI bot is fumbling, they are getting more and more pissed off. They are getting ready to leave your website, right? So don't ask it to do more than it can, and know when it's time to, I got someone pissed, time to get a person involved. Someone's ready to put a lease down, time to get a person involved where you can. If it can auto lease out, great, but you got to know its limitations.
Love that. Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah, hard to follow that up, but I'll do my best. I think it just goes back to the same theme of customers want the ability to self-serve, right? So it needs to be easy to rent, but it needs to be easy to pay your bill online. The number of people get frustrated trying to log into, I forgot my password, I can't pay my bill. We should make it really easy for people to pay their bill, whether it's through IVR, pay by phone, the click one to pay your bill robot, or right on the website. And then also just low hanging fruit again, regardless of your software, like, can you mass text your customers when there's like paving at the facility and let them know so they don't show up and they're all annoyed when they can't get to their unit? Do you two-way text with your customers and meet them where they are? These are all just like things you can do regardless of your tech stack, or at least be thoughtful about it. And if your tech is getting in the way of doing any of these basic things, then that might be time to look for something new.
And I just have to throw one in here. You can have all the QR codes, you can have the websites, you can have the chat bots. Please provide your phone number, for the love of God. Put your phone number out there, where if I'm on the facility and I really just need to talk to somebody, don't make me jump through 4 hoops and use different technologies. If I really just need to make a phone call, give us a phone number.
Love that. I love that.
Not even tech. You could just put your phone number out there.
Yeah.
I guess it is technically tech, but it's tech that's 200 years old.
Yeah. It's the one that we're all comfortable with.
Yes. Rural or metro. Number 3, same question. How do you optimize your operations? And now Michael, you just touched on it a little bit there. So you might have to dig deep in the bag now. How can tech how can right now can you use tech to optimize your operations?
Yeah, we talk a lot about using tech to make things actionable, right? Like, what are the things that I need to do as a site manager or as an owner? What are the things that I need to pay attention to? There's tons of ways to actually implement that with your current tech or new tech, but how do I, what are the things that I care about? Let's define those. And then how can I use tech to notify me when those things are happening? And then on the flip side, again, it's 2025. There's tons of ways to automate communications out to your vendors, whether it's invoices, delinquency reminders, but even things like asking for Google reviews, which we all know is important, or these are not things where you need to manually call every customer and beg them for a Google review. You can automate outreach to do things that are valuable, but without taking up all your time.
Heck yeah. James, same question to you. How can you use existing tech to optimize your operations today?
Yep. One, start with knowing your property, right? Know your property. Like in some cases, hey, I love some of the hardware that's coming out, like some of the locks that are coming out. But also keep in mind, if you're in rural, nowhereville, and you only have 50 units with no fence around it, it's just out in the field, like you might not need the fanciest lock on that one, right? But in your class A's, you want to, and then you want to take this modern hardware, right, and also back solve it financially. Sometimes we put things out and we're like, does this make sense of what I'm charging or what I'm putting and adding this tech, or is it killing my bottom line? We get so top line focused sometimes. We got to make sure to watch that bottom line. But there's some existing tech out there in the hardware space that I think is fantastic. I do think many of these lock companies are doing it right. I'm going to show them a bunch of love as well there. But you guys know your property, right? And don't overdo it. I'm gonna always bang the drum of overdoing it, because everyone likes to bang the drum of underutilization.
Yeah.
I really love that. And so protecting your facility. So when it comes to existing tech, quick ways to protect your facility.
I guess I could take that one first. It's obvious, but again, newer folks in the space might not be aware, but I think gates and cameras are imperative. And I shouldn't even say newer operators. I talk to lots of older operators or established operators that won't invest in cloud-based gate access software, right? If the desktop that's running the program goes down at the facility and your gate's not working and either customers are mad or someone comes and steals a bunch of stuff, like, you need to invest in where it makes sense. You have a responsibility to protect your tenants' units as best as you can. And I think when we underinvest in or don't invest at all in protecting the facility, you just leave yourself and the facility exposed. So I know it's a couple $1,000s in certain instances, but it's just part of running the business. Otherwise, don't get into it.
Love that. I still run into folks from time to time who give out the same 4-digit code to every tenant that rents. Still out there. So James, same question to you. How can you use existing tech today to protect your facility?
Yep. I'm going to go the other direction. I'm going to go the low tech route. So all the low techs, put the signage up of what you have. You invest in all this stuff, visual. You know people that they actually just get the sign that says they got the security system in their home and there's no security system in there. They already know that sign is probably worth just as much as the system, right? But you might have the system and no sign, right? So you need to have both, have the right systems, the cameras, but have the signs. Like, we are surveillance 24/7. We have sophisticated gate. Just let people know what you have, and that can be all the deterrent you might even need.
Love that. Love the low tech takes, man. And then last but not least, number 5 here. How do you use existing tech to help set pricing and help you grow? James, we'll start with you and then we'll go to Michael.
Data. We got to love the data. There's great data companies out there, and I can tout them all, and you know who I'm talking about. I don't have a dog in the fight, but I mean, you're going to a Tract, you're going to a Radius, you're going to whoever you want to go to. Get the data. Let the data do the driving, right? Sometimes you got to rely on the gut. Sometimes that gut does matter, but I like to be data backed more than gut backed. All right. I want to know why I'm doing what I'm competing in my area. Let the data do the talking.
I love that. Michael?
Well, that was half of my answer, James, so thank you. That's a great place to start, but I think taking it a level further, there's a few vendors in the space that can actually synthesize that data for you into a data-driven recommendation, which we'll talk more about this a little later, I think, but I actually don't think you should fully automate your revenue management at all. It's one of the most important things that you can do for the business. So you want your human eyes on there. But to James's point, how do we use the data to make smart decisions and then use our gut when something doesn't feel right to override or be more or less aggressive. So there's a few vendors out there that you can invest in, definitely do your due diligence, but things like airline pricing, etc., no, hotels, people aren't setting prices. Hyatt's not setting prices because of their gut. You know what I mean? So I think we need to try to do a better job of letting technology help us here.
I love that take though, man. Like, yes, use these tools, but also like have a human be the final decision maker. Brilliant. So thanks for entering the lightning round. That's usually earlier than we go into, but I want to get to the new tech. The other thing is I want the audience to also know, like, yeah, we're about to, spend the next 20, 30 minutes talking about new tech, but like your existing tech, the stuff that you have available to you can serve the purpose, right? And as long as you're utilizing it correctly here. So
Hey, Tommy, can I say one thing?
Please.
Before we go to new tech, I have to, or else I'm going to kick myself. What everyone talks about automation. Can I just say what you shouldn't automate? Conflict resolution. Do not automate that. Do not give that to tech. When somebody is pissed off, you're just going to need to insert a human and one that has some empathy. Because in self-storage, compared to all other industries, we also have to have a little therapy as well, right? Because we're dealing with mama who just died, or a divorce, or a downsize, or a move. There's certain things that, as much as I love AI, I use it every day. I don't need AI to say sorry about your mama who passed. Or happy birthday from ChatGPT. That doesn't give me any warm fuzzies.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
Killer, man.
Happy 4th, Julia from ChatGPT.
You're saying Ask Jeeves or Clippy isn't the right tool to share condolences?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my gosh.
When someone's unit just flooded, don't let Clippy take over. I promise you, it won't go well for you. It's gonna be a bad day.
Not Ask Jeeves. So there may be some audience members who don't know what I'm talking. Michael, you might not know what I'm talking about.
I'm familiar with Clippy and Ask Jeeves. Yes.
Oh man!
Tell our product guys that we got to put a Clippy inside a Cubby that just tells you what to do. That'd be something.
Yes. All right. So before we go into upgrading and new tech, I do want to ask this question that I think is appropriate. So, like, what are some unique ways that you've seen operators use current tech? So let this be kind of like a segue into new. What are some cool ways in the conversations you've had with people? Maybe you've had firsthand experience. I know we've mentioned QR codes. We've mentioned some of the cool tools already. But what are some other unique ways that you've seen operators take advantage of existing tech that is at their disposal?
I'll go first on this one. Multilingual live support, right? Not all of your future tenants speak English, right? But they do have this thing called American money, right? That I want, right? So it behooves you, if you don't have someone who speaks that second language, to use technology to help you with that multilingual support. Very important and sometimes often forgotten.
I like it.
I love that. Michael, what about you, man? What have you seen anything cool?
Yeah, I think there's all sorts of like really, really cool things. I think I'll focus on like ancillary revenue streams. So not just like not just selling merch, but being creative. I know a few operators, including maybe some in this session, but they rent their lock to the customer for $4 or $5 a month instead of selling it for $20 upfront, because they know that given their average length of stay, they'll pay more for that convenience, and they can continue to use the lock moving forward. But things like premium access hours where it makes sense, smart units, with, I won't name vendors, but you can do a Google search on that. But like beyond rent and moving the rent number, how else can we get little incremental value out of our customers for things that they value? One obvious one, like beneath that like I have to do my plug. We don't actually offer this at Cubby, but tenant insurance or tenant protection, like the number of people I talk to that don't offer that drives me insane, because it's a revenue driver, which is important, but also it kind of covers your butt as the owner, if something happens and you didn't offer that insurance and customers didn't know it existed. So you don't have to require it, but like you should be offering tenant insurance or tenant protection is kind of another easy plug there for tech.
Yeah, I like that. And I think that a lot of times we are, as operators, you're hesitant to nickel and dime everybody. But if you look at all of the other trades that are commodities that are available for us to purchase, they all have different levels of what do I want this purchase to look like. And I can go with the bare minimum that has no bells and whistles. That's totally fine. Or I can have everything added onto it and pay the extra price. And that is something that, exactly like you said, Michael, you can add on these different things if your customer chooses to. And a lot of us, we choose those extra things because we like the value. We like that perceived value of, oh, I get this and I get this and I get this. And it's maybe $10 more a month. $10 more is nothing. It's like cup and a half of coffee. So like that's not a big deal for a lot of consumers if they really see that they're getting the value for that thing. So yeah, give it a try. Don't just count it out always. So all right,
Good take.
next thing. So technology. When do you know it's time for you to upgrade your technology?
Oh man, I could sit in this one for a minute. I'm telling you. Oh,
Go for
all
it.
right, I'll start. Okay, let's start with high lead drop-off rates. You might want to check your tech. Slow response times. When people call, does it go to voicemail? Because guess what's going to happen? They're going to the next one. You lose. All right. Rising staff costs. That's one of the most expensive things we deal with, right? This is time that it's like maybe tech can help, right? And then, while I still have the mic, let me do one. I'm going to switch gears really hard. The other thing that I would just want to challenge is that if the software companies you're working with don't integrate with others, people that don't play well with others are not good for your business.
Yep.
Okay. They are trying to do this thing called trap you, right? They're trying to trap you. You know, if they don't want to open, the nerdy talk is open APIs, integrate. And so I want to challenge everyone. If you're, well, I don't know if mine integrates with so-and-so, call here. You can tap on my door, tap on Michael's door, tap on all the other tech companies' door and say, why aren't you integrating?
Yep.
Well, they have this thing called a roadmap. Well, we're trying this. We're doing that. No. Is integration anywhere on your roadmap? Is integrate because you're making my life hard, right? So if they're not going to integrate and play well with others, it's time to move on. They're actually being very greedy.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love that take, man. And by the way, we're out of the Thunderdome, so you can talk as long as you want. Once your mic is on, we're waiting for you. You're the guest of honor.
Exactly.
Yeah. Michael, your take, man. Yeah, what are signs that it's time to like evaluate what you got going on?
Yeah, I think James covered a lot of really awesome ones there. What I like to encourage people to really think about is if you're thinking about growing your business, the time to change your tech isn't when things quote unquote break. A lot of the things that James mentioned are signs that the engine is breaking. It's better to get ahead of, all right, what am I going to need at this next phase of growth? So there's certain software and tech and vendors out there that are really, really good for smaller operators. At a certain point, you know, you need to quote unquote graduate a lot of times. So, you know, things that you know will break at 5, 7, 10 plus facilities, don't wait till you get to 10 facilities and then you have pissed off customers and occupancies dropping. Like, get ahead of those things and think about, all right, as I'm thinking about scaling my business, I got to scale my tech with it. So I think just getting ahead of, like, before things even break, before there's a sign that it might come. As long as if you know you're going to grow, then really start thinking about it.
So let's be a little bit more specific. Say I have 3 or 4 different techs that all really need to be upgraded. Which one should get my priority first?
Yeah, not to answer a question with a question, but it really depends. Like, what's going to have the biggest impact on your bottom line is the short answer that I would give. What's going to have the biggest increase on my revenue or decrease on the expense side of things, staffing, some of the things that James mentioned. I think second to that is what's going to free up mine and my team's time. So a lot of times it's, you know, hey, I'm missing calls because I'm too busy manually secret shopping my competitors or any of the other things that can be automated away with tech to a degree. So I think those are the two things, like what's going to impact my bottom line and bring me more customers, more revenue, et cetera, and then decrease expenses and save time for my team.
Super solid take.
Yep.
Do you have anything to
Start
add,
with
Jen?
start with your tenant facing systems first, right? You got to prioritize, right? You can't do it all at once, but if you need to prioritize, go with the tenant facing stuff first. This is your website, your access, your communications, because they impact revenue directly. That's why you start there. When you're done with that, check, check, check. We're going back end next. We're going to upgrade our back end operations, find things to automate, like Michael said, reporting, right, to help boost our NOI when we need to raise our rates. Okay, that also affects, right? Reducing errors. Where are we finding breakdown in the system? So you can start off with, if there's a book, I'll make a book recommendation. Making Money is Killing Your Business. Read this book. Oh my goodness, or get it on audio and listen to it. It'll change you, right? The thing they want you to do, challenge one, is called a freedom map. What's a freedom map? It's a one pager of your entire process. Boom, 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 bullets. Then you can double click any one of those process and it's a one pager. So, and this needs to be owned by that staff member, and meaning they can change it, they can upgrade it, they can enhance it, they can look for breaking, and then it's documented, because if that staff member leaves, it's all documented. You're making yourself, if you're not documenting your back end ops, you're doing it wrong, or you're just like, I'll get to it later, right? You're procrastinating that. But read that book, it'll change you, and then it'll give you a bunch of work to do, and a good thing, and you'll make the value of your business go up too. When you document, process, automate, the value of your business goes up if you ever want to sell it.
One last thing I want to add on top of that, based on what Melissa said, is like, out of 4 pieces of tech, like, what do I choose first to upgrade? I actually think changing multiple tools at one time isn't necessarily as scary as it's made out to be, so long as you have a good plan. What I mean by that is, there's lots of software out there that does lots of different things. If one of those 4 vendors you really like for X thing, but oh look, now they do Y and Z thing, simplifying operations, simplifying certain things under the same umbrella, and replacing maybe 2 or 3 things that aren't working at the same time
with one solution.
Yeah, either one solution or better versions of those different solutions. Like, as long as you have a plan for how you get from point A to point B, there's no need to piecemeal it unless there's a good reason to, I guess, is my point. Change is scary, but it's the old notion of like, rip a Band-Aid or do it in pieces. So
right. The one thing, and sometimes, Michael, I'm really glad you said that, because one thing that you have to kind of prioritize in all of this is that, because you might have 4 or 5 things working together, if you remove one piece, it may break 3 others.
Yeah.
So because suddenly you've broken like the chain, how they're all linked together. So sometimes it's actually better to go in and say, I'm going to change all of this all at once so that I don't interrupt customer service. And because if I just remove this one piece, then suddenly this thing over here doesn't work the way it's supposed to. That's just going to anger my tenants. So, and we don't like change. So if you're going to spread this out over a year and you're going to change this, then you're going to change this, then you're going to change, they're going to get irritated. So sometimes just going in and just doing the thing is a whole lot easier.
Yes. My gosh. Yes. No, these are lovely takes, y'all. I want to read a comment in the comment section. I think it really piggybacks well off of James, what were you saying? Like, focus on that customer facing stuff, right? So Tyler said, upgrading is a chance to look back at your customer and your market. Who are they? What could they value? And then can you use that particular tech to differentiate yourself? So love all of this. So I guess to extend this a little bit, like, how do you know? Let's say you've decided, you know what, I'm going to upgrade this piece, this component, this piece of my business. How do you know what's a good fit? Like, what tools are out there for you to research? How can you know, like, all the features? Talk me through that piece.
All right, I'm going to go analog on this one. All right. Everyone expects me to go digital. I'm going analog. Get a group of friends. Can I get a little help from my friends? I feel like I need to grab my guitar and sing that song to you guys right now. You're going to get by with a little help from your friends. And here's it's okay. Let's check our humility. It's okay to say, I actually don't know what to do. I don't know how to handle this. I got an area.
Yeah.
Well, who are you going to call? And it might not be Ghostbusters. You're going to probably want to call, some folks that might have been around a bit. So you might want to go to networking events. You might want to call a consultant, ask for help first. The worst thing is to go buy something, try to implement it, get it all bungled up, and then have someone come fix the rat's nest that you made when you didn't start your plans off right. So, build that, I'm a Star Wars nerd, build your Jedi Council, please, and then you can ask and see what's going on and evaluate what your property needs. And then you can start implementing those bits and pieces because they're already proven.
All right, Paul McCartney, I'm gonna let you cook. Michael, how about you, man? Like, how do you go about doing research as an operator in 2025? What are the tools out there so I can like really research and test and experiment and really understand what's going on?
Yeah, I'm going to start with plus oneing the things that James said. Those were probably my first three. So thanks for taking the fun there. No, but in all seriousness, I think before you go research anything, I think it's important to take a step back a lot of times and ask, what is the outcome I'm trying to drive with buying this thing or doing something different? Am I trying to increase online rentals, lower delinquency, improve my revenue management strategy? Like what am I trying to even do? Like what are we trying to accomplish? And then, okay, in that vein, ask your friends. There's like Facebook groups and things like that where people throw out good suggestions, network, etc. But do your research online and get kind of your short list of different things to look at. And then lastly, and probably the most important step that I think people get scared of is just schedule a demo with the various vendors. Like I promise we don't bite. We won't
What are
charge
you talking
anything.
about? I bite all the time.
Y'all don't charge for demos?
Later.
We don't charge for
Y'all are
demos.
missing out on revenue, Michael.
I should
Tell
take-
Matt.
I
This
should-
is idea of the day.
I should yeah put a little Stripe Pay link on my.
There you go. $200 a demo, straight up.
Yeah.
You're missing
No.
out on bottom line, top line revenue if you're not doing
Yeah,
it.
I mean, in all seriousness, though, like get on the call with that person. I like to think I'm a subject matter expert in what Cubby does and other even competitors in the space, and we can compare and contrast what's right for you, being really honest. But like get on a demo, see what it's all about, see why you should care about that nice shiny object before you pay for it. But yeah, I think you're going to hear lots of things, through the rumor mill or through your friends, but you can go right to the source too. So
Yeah.
that's what I would
Well,
recommend.
speaking of vendors and demos, right? Give me the green flag, yellow flag, red flags when you're talking to a potential vendor. And I know both of y'all are vendors. I want your takes. But Melissa, as a former buyer and now vendor, I want your take too. But James, I'll start with you, man. So like, what are the green flag, yellow flag, red flags that you should be keeping an eye out for when you're interviewing or doing demos with all the different vendors?
So I'm going to answer that, but I got to tackle one last thing onto last question. It's really fast. For all of my multi-facility owners, when you're evaluating new tech, make sure it's scalable. If it only works at one place, it's not going to be as cost effective. And if it can't be scaled across your entire company, that also needs to be the red flag, right? But when it comes to when you're talking to vendors, are they only talking about themselves? Right? That would be a red flag. Back to that greed I was talking about earlier about integration. Do they play well with others? That means like if they're not going to play well with others, what are they going to do with your data? If you give them your data, your data is so valuable, they want to keep their mitts on it. Like ask, hey, if I ever choose to switch, can I take my data with me? Yeah, right? Or are they going to lock you in? Because once they get locked in, what are they going to do? They're just going to raise the rates on you because now you can't go anywhere. They're going to make your life hard. Or if like that is rude, right? We just call that rude. It's just rude. Like we don't lock people in to our leases, right? So because we know our customers probably move sometimes, or they got to go, they take their family. Like it would just be wrong. Like I'm not unlocking your roll up door. We're keeping all your stuff. Like we know not to do that. But when you get in front of these vendors, are you integrating? Are you playing well with others? And then like Michael said, like, can I get some references? They can't give you references. Oh, I don't know. Like, that's a bit odd too, right? Do they only worry about themselves? Like, I've spent more time sometimes just looking at someone's entire tech stack and helping them decide on other things. I don't have a dog in the fight. If I need to say, I like Cubby, right? But Michael, I don't think you give me any money, right? None of that, right? But I'm happy to say it. Why? Because I have customers who use Cubby and love it, right? So I can tell you because I literally meet owners every day. I'm in front of more owners probably than most people in the whole industry. And so while I'm doing that, I'm also evaluating, and I always ask lots of questions and I walk through, and I can tell you when people are happy, when they're not so happy, and when they're like, I'm not sure yet. So I can give you some insights as you evaluate. Use me and abuse me as free advice. You don't even have to worry about my stuff. I'm not allowed to sell today, and I won't.
I love that, man. Michael, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think James keeps doing a good job. But I think one green flag, yellow flag, red flag initially is if you do a demo request, how quickly is that group responding to you? I mean, the number of people who get on with me
Bingo.
and say, yeah, I won't name vendors, but hey, I tried to get a demo with these 3 other groups and nobody got back to me, or it took a week and they gave me a time 3 weeks out. You got to set the
It's like
tone.
that tenant
their
that
support
calls and
line.
says, it's like the tenant that calls and says, "Oh, I'm renting from you," because no one else answered their phone.
Exactly. Yeah. I bet
Floor
it's
is-
like,
yeah.
it's
Call the
most basic-
software support line. See if they even
Yeah.
answer you. Don't call the sales line. The sales line's money. Call the
Yeah.
support line.
Do they publish a support line number?
Yeah.
I think is a
Yeah.
is a nice little green flag. Yeah, Michael, that's great, man.
Yeah.
So Melissa, as a former buyer and now on the vendor side, what's your take on this? Like, what are some green flags that you look for, and maybe some red flags that like, oh, I'm gonna back away
Red-
slowly from this thing?
Yeah. Red flag for sure for me. No, I know, James, you mentioned knowing the products of the other vendors. Very, very important. Don't bash the other vendors. I want nothing to do with that. If you come into a demo call and you're just like, oh, they suck, don't tell me how good you are by telling me how bad the other people are. Tell me how good you are by actually telling me how good you are. And let me draw my own conclusion on that. So that's a
Preach.
huge red flag. I really don't like that. That's going to be the same vendor that also passes the buck when something breaks, and it does, and they're like, oh, it must be the other company because our company's perfect. Well, your company's not perfect. Your tech messes up just like everybody else's. So I need you to own it, and it can't be the blame game. So be careful of the vendors that are bashing other companies. It's just walk away. Not going to be a good fit. The ones that a big green flag for me, and Michael kind of touched on it. The other day I was doing a demo with a call center company, because I mentioned before the call that I demo vendors all the time. That's what I do. And when I asked about call center calls, I said, how can I get some feedback from some of your customers? He goes, oh, just go to our website, call any of them. Because if you call any of the sites associated with us, you're going to get our call center. So just do some calls. I don't care who you call. I don't want to give you a list of people. And just an open door, instead of here's my 5 people that I know are going to speak really highly of me and give me that 5-star review. It's just go to the website and just pick up the phone. And I appreciate that a lot. So that's green flag for me.
That's really cool. I love that you do that. That's
couple
good
other
insight. Yeah.
couple other red flags that are just top of mind is like, if the person can't answer most of your questions or give you a straight answer, that's to me
Yes.
a really big red flag. Like, you should be like, I'm not perfect. I don't know every single answer to every single question, but if you're asking 5 questions in a row, and they can't answer any of them, that's not great. And then lastly, Melissa touched on it, but if they're just droning on and on and on about themselves and not actually asking you questions or listening to
Yeah.
your specific business. I've been in storage for 2 years. This is more true than in multifamily. Every operator is a little bit different. So if they're not
Yeah.
asking the deeper questions to figure out, okay, but how do you really do this? Like, I've had to turn people away from Cubby because they like 100 things that we do really well, but they really need one thing that's not quite there yet. And it's like, okay, come back to us in a couple months. Like, I know you want to get going, but just honesty about what you do and what you don't do. But then also just showing genuine interest in the business that you're talking.
Yeah. No, I think that's perfect, Michael. And not every vendor is the right fit for every single facility. And I appreciate the vendors who can look at somebody and say, I can't help you, but let me refer you to somebody that can, because it sounds like you need this instead of what I do. And that goes a whole lot further for your business as a vendor than anything. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of times people don't need new management software, for example. They
Right.
just need a Melissa to help them like tighten things up in terms of how they do things. Like,
Let's figure out how to use what you have.
yeah,
Yes.
go back to earlier. Yeah, but
Yeah. No, I love that take, man. That's a great approach. So like, what's coming up? What's new? What's out there? What is something that y'all are each excited about, that either just dropped or is dropping in the next, 6 to 12, 18 months?
yeah,
I'll start.
I mean,
Go ahead, Michael. Go ahead.
you go.
Okay,
You go.
okay, I'll go. So, well, I'm using the buzzword. It's AI. Okay, that's the buzzword. So we're onboarding everybody right through hybrid and remote management. Got to start there. That's the crawl. But now the tools of AI coming alongside, I always like the visual of Iron Man in the iron suit with Jarvis. When it works well, it works awesome, right? But it needs to be practical and tactical. How much of that stuff out there, like, how do you even use that, right? Example, let's say you're going to do an auction, right? Wouldn't it be nice to roll up the door and take a photo or video and have AI scan it and tell you what's in there? Or would you rather, or for a move out, like, move out, have a picture, flags it automatically. Oh, looks like there's 4 tires in there, and they can automate and send a message to the tenant. Hey, you need to get those tires out. They get back, it retakes a photo, boom. So things like that, where you have the real-time translations, right? Where you have laser guidance systems and all kinds of cool things that are going to be coming out, but AI is going to continue to change and disrupt this industry.
Yeah, I was also going to use the buzzword du jour, but slightly different. But if anyone went to the ISS show in Las Vegas, it might as well have been called AI voice agent show. Like there's like 6 companies or something that are trying to do AI voice agents for storage. I think it's really, really cool, and I think we will get there. But I have, people in my inbox asking if they can integrate X or Y or Z, and not that we're anti-integration, but to James's point about walk, crawl, run, people want an AI agent answering the phone, but they don't have online rentals set up or something else that's really basic. It's like, all right, let's not pimp my ride on the outside of my car when the engine's not there. I think we will get there. Like there's AI voice agents in other industries if you've called any kind of corporate help center. But I think also to James' point on integration, it's really hard to get the maximum benefit out of one of those tools if it's not integrating with your existing tech. Like the AI voice agent can be perfect and crisp, but if they don't know your real-time tenant rent roll and like unit availability and things about your facility, if it doesn't know the right stuff in real time, it's going to be hard for that to be valuable. So it's worth keeping an eye on moving forward, but I'm just not sure that it's worth that investment just yet, especially if you haven't done any of the things or all of the things we spent 50 minutes talking about thus far.
So that kind of goes into the next question of what tech might not actually be worth the investment. And I agree, jumping too far ahead in technology before you're actually ready is definitely a problem. Is there any other tech kind of along that same lines that maybe used to be used 10 years ago that you're like, don't you're going backwards if you go with that kind of technology? Is there any tech that you wouldn't think right now is worth the investment?
You got to be really careful about hardware. Really careful. Like software, like we can change software in the cloud and it upgrades itself. You don't even have to update anymore, right? But sometimes hardware can be more expensive and it can have a shelf life. Have you ever tried to sell an iPad that's 10 years old? How many buyers you got? None. Right? Zero.
Yeah.
Nobody wants a 10-year-old iPad. It doesn't even turn on anymore. And the software doesn't even support it, right? So you gotta be really careful about making those hardware investments. Find the ones that there are great hardware out there and that has a long shelf life. That's where you're going to see your return on investment. When it doesn't have that long shelf life, it becomes a nonprofit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good point.
I was gonna say something similar and indirectly plug James in the process, but like the kiosk situation is something that, I mean, granted, I'm 2 years in and coming from slightly adjacent, but I never quite understood it unless you're in a really nice Class A facility and it looks really nice and clean. You've got a live person on there and all that stuff. Like there's situations where it works, but in a secondary, tertiary market, like the kiosk is your phone. Like you don't. Why are you going to buy a huge parking ticket meter thing and put it on your property in Omaha, Nebraska, or wherever in the world? Like, why are you going to put this big thing on your property when a QR code will do the trick, for example? That's just nothing against. I think it works well in certain environments, and if you do, unless your website looks really clean already and it's a Class A, really nice facility, I don't see the kiosk thing as something I would invest in, at least not right away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good take. So, we got three really awesome audience questions that I definitely want to get to. But last question that was submitted here is like, as far as AI. So, I mean, you touched on it, right, James? Give us some other AI uses in self-storage, right? Right now, as it stands today, and I imagine this is going to change, and your answer hopefully will evolve 6 months and 12 months and even 3 months from now. But as it stands today, what are what's the top ways to use
Yep.
AI if you're in self-storage?
Yep. So 1, pricing optimization. 2, lead scoring. 3, tenant support triage. 4, staff training and insights. But all of that does not work without layering in the right human oversight to make sure it's trustworthy and quality. But that is, short answer. But there's a lot of meat and potatoes in there, right? So happy to dive in any one of those pieces. But those are the ones that I see from the AI perspective. Michael, I'm interested in what you would say to this
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, I mean, my two were two of your four. I think there's a long way to go with respect to revenue management and pricing optimization. Just again, harking back to airlines, hotels, etc. Storage is much more similar to that than say apartments, for example, just because of the month-to-month nature of it. And then the second piece, I think you mentioned briefly, James, but everything related to calls is super important. So record every call. Again, you can buy a VoIP for like $20 a month a seat, and that'll record calls, transcribe calls, summarize it. So if you don't want to listen to a 30-minute call, what happened here? It'll just give you a succinct. And then lastly, there's a few companies out there, some in storage, some outside of it, that will use AI and grade all the calls for you based on your rubric or Melissa's rubric of like what constitutes a good call. Did we do these 8 things? And the AI will judge on a percentage basis on each parameter, so that you're not spot checking and manually listening to calls. Instead, you can look at a list, be like, here's 2 good ones, 2 average ones, and 2 bad ones. Let me go into my one-on-one with my site manager and walk through why this was good, why this was bad, how we get the bads to be more like goods, basically. So
I love that, man. Those are
Yep.
killer. So Lindsay submitted a question. Lindsay, thank you for your patience. You submitted this question 40 minutes ago. But for teams doing boots on the ground marketing, are there mobile tools or apps to help track visits, log notes, or manage follow-ups more effectively? Love this question, Lindsay, because oftentimes we focus on like digital marketing data. What about boots on the ground data? Are there any tools out there that can help, do that better and smarter?
Without self-promoting, I think a lot of management softwares, you can track your leads directly in there, even boots on the ground, and log that as the source and do your text and email follow-ups through that tool, or integrating like a HubSpot or something like that for drip campaigns. So again, I would look to the tools that you have and see if there's something that you can use from that perspective. But if not, there's actually a lot of low cost, what are called CRMs out there. Basically like think Salesforce or HubSpot, but a lot more affordable for an SMB business to track that sort of thing. So definitely do your research if you can't do it right in the software. But for me, I would want to track my boots on the ground leads the same way as I would my online or phone or anywhere else. Just have it all in the same place.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great answer. So there's a lot of different things to use, and it depends on the industry. If we look outside of self-storage, I want to let you know that Go High Level happens to do this very well. Again, I don't hear it often inside self-storage, but Michael mentioned as well, programs like HubSpot can do well. If you're really wanting to go like on the ground, there's things that are, again, I'm looking outside of self-storage and bringing these in for you guys just to look at. Badger Maps, Sales Rabbit, Spot.io. You might not even know what these are, right? But Spot.io is like field sales tracking. Sales Rabbit is like for canvassing. And then Badger Maps is like optimization of routing, and CRMs. Go High Level is the marketing piece. So there's a lot of things that, because I think everyone kind of knows in self-storage, because we're a little smaller industry, kind of knows that. So I figured I might go outside of it. And I mean, if you're just getting started, don't underestimate, and you can laugh at me later, a good Google form, a good Google sheet.
That's
Yeah.
I hate to say
That's
it,
what
but
Shane
it's
said
In the
right there.
comment. Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
you might just want to go that direction to start. That's your crawl.
Yeah.
I think 97% of businesses can use Google Sheets for their CRM.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. We still
Yeah.
use Monday.com, and
There you
I
go.
run across facilities that use that frequently. It's an easy one. But back to what the lobby talk when we were talking earlier, that's one thing that I am seeing more of the software companies start to integrate better is a better task list, because they know that the boots on the ground and the property managers, they need to have a place to track this stuff.
Love
And
that.
it's easier if it's actually done on your software. And so I'm seeing that come out a little bit more too. So
Yeah.
yeah. So check with
Amazing.
your software company. They may be working on something.
Check what they're cooking. Kevin, I'll ask and then answer your question. This has to do with Microsoft. So a lot of folks in this audience probably use Windows operating systems. So the question Kevin asked, and he submitted this before the show, is it true that Microsoft will stop supporting some of their older versions of Windows and including some computers? Some even as old as 3 years old may not be able to handle the new Windows platform. The answer is yes, and probably yes. So Windows 10 and Windows 10 is the oldest version that they support today as it is. Their support ends October 14th of this year. So what this means is you will no longer get security updates. You will no longer get software updates. They're encouraging and basically forcing folks to upgrade to Windows 11. I put a help article there. And you have until October 14th, which they did, to be fair to Microsoft, they did announce this a long time ago. So people have had time to prepare. And they have a list of minimum requirements for you to upgrade. So that's the second link I posted, which includes all of the system requirements that you need on your PC or computer to be able to handle Windows 11. So likely though, if you've bought a computer in the last 3 to 5 years, you're going to be fine. But there's the specs to check out there. So Kevin, yours was a very specific technical ask, and I got the resources for you there. So Melissa, you want to ask our very last audience question from Roy? I think Roy's still hanging out with us.
Can I add
Yeah.
one thing, on that, Tommy, that question sparked that I can't believe came up?
Yes.
You can buy all the tech in the world. If you don't have good Wi-Fi at a facility or good, infrastructure,
Yep.
a lot of the tech problems that we get in our support team are actually the Wi-Fi is slow, not anything else being slow. And then
Not the
also
PC.
you're using Microsoft Internet Explorer, Edge, or stuff that's just not supported. So make sure that your core tech is set up the right way.
Great advice. Now, Brian in the comments did make a mention some software still only support Windows 10, and that is true. And that's unfortunate. So you'll have to really press those software vendors to make their stuff available on 11, and hopefully they have a roadmap and a plan for this, or you tossed a coin and you hope that your unsupported or unsecure operating system is okay come October 15th. So yeah, that is a real conversation to be had with your software vendor.
He just sent panic through half of our audience.
I know.
They all went, what?
Yeah. Their email is support at.
Yep.
And to be honest, I'm not up to speed on whether or not Storable has announced if they are or are not supporting Windows 11. So that'd be a great thing to either Google, ask AI, or honestly, just go straight to your support rep, and they should give you an honest answer. So that
now
is
90 people are going to call Storable all at the same time and ask the exact same question.
You're welcome, Chuck.
Yeah.
That's what it actually means though when people say our software is cloud-based. It means it's not dependent on what version of Microsoft that you're using.
Right.
So I think a lot of, even when it comes to gates or anything, like people are like, oh, I don't want to pay for the cloud, or what is cloud-based software? Why would I care about that? This is why you would care, is because you're not subject to the vagaries of whatever Microsoft decides to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
According to their help article, Brian, it looks like Windows 11 is there, but again, I don't know what all that entails or what all that means. So worth the conversation, whoever your software vendor is. And I know SiteLink was called out here in the comments, but there are other desktop-based software providers, Storage Commander. They're all, there are others out there. So just have an honest conversation and make sure that your support reps understand that, hey, come October 14th, your computer needs to upgrade to Windows 11 so that your business can be safe. It is not recommended to use outdated operating software because there's security threats, there's viruses, all these things that can come, take your data, hold your data hostage, and then just do all this stuff that nasty people do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, Brian, thanks for throwing out there. Last question, Melissa.
Okay,
You want to
yeah,
ask
and
Royce?
it kind of takes us a little bit different direction. So Roy says we have set up our new facility to be completely hands-free if people want it. Lights, cameras, digital locks, live person kiosk. They're ready to go. That's awesome. But we're still in an area that is very old school. They're pug people, Noki people. He says we are also kiosk people, we're Facebook people, we're chamber people. They're in all the places doing all the things. But the question is, what else can we do to put us at the top of the list and the map and in front of everybody? So any recommendations from our techie visitors here?
It's interesting, like it's two-sided question, right? It's a customer experience question, but it's also like, how do we get more people to know about this question? So I lean more towards like the modern age of just going digital, right? To let people know where you're at, making sure you got your digital, boots on, back to some of the stuff from the entire, this almost puts a nice bow on everything, right? Where you were talking about that front end, making sure that website's strong, making sure it's easy, maybe make sure it's known, maybe making sure it has good videos and proper pictures where Google's scraping it. And, we are working alongside those algorithms, right? You might want to get that checked, like have someone take a look at that website and going through it. It's the incremental. And when you got all of those pieces that Roy just laid down, you're not missing a big hole in your boat. The only thing that's going to happen for you now is 1 to 2% tweaks, which make a difference, right? It doesn't feel like a lot if you made that 1 or 2% tweak that week, but if you make a 1 or 2% tweak every week for a year, there's a beautiful compounding effect that you're going to have. So if you already have all the bits and pieces, I think Melissa said it earlier, take what you have and let's make it 1 or 2% better, and then get an audit done on your entire tech stack.
Yeah, I'll go the route that James has been going a lot of the call. I think, if you're already leveraging, the Pug pack and all that for the marketing side, I think you're in good hands there. And it sounds like you've invested a lot of time and money into your tech stack. So let's switch it the other way. I don't know if you're managing it yourself or using a third-party group, but how fast are you following up with leads? What's your signage like? How, all the little things that we can do outside of like just buying the right stuff. How are where, and also I think an important question to ask is, where is the leak in my bucket? Like, are we driving a lot of traffic that isn't converting to rentals? If so, why is that? Maybe we're asking for too much info, whatever, but these are all things that are not tech important, right? Of like, we can make changes, but or if it's, we're not driving enough traffic, then that's a different problem. So I think just figure out where the hole in the bucket is, and then figure out what you can do from a non-tech perspective to fill it. Again, if you don't follow up with a lead within 2 or 3 minutes, you're just not going to get that person. I'm shopping for a car right now, and they're actually very good, too good about following up incessantly. But
over and over and over again.
They get a bad, rep as like used car salesman, and probably is, but like in terms of pure follow-up, I think they do a good job and they get in touch with you really quickly. So I think, for something like storage, just get in touch with people faster.
I think 2 things. Ro, since you are Pug people and part of the Pug pack, I can give you very direct advice, right? So number 1 is, and James touched on this and Michael touched on this to some degree too, that reputation piece really like helps you skip the line, right? One of your locations, y'all are crushing it. 5-star review, 30, 5-star rating, 30 reviews, chef's kiss. The new one, you've got 7 reviews. And I think this is our opportunity. And I know y'all are brand new. It's open. You may only have 7 customers, right? But make it a big deal to make sure that reviews, acquisition, reviews, generation is like a big part of your business, not just an afterthought, but a true part of your SOP, your stand, like every time I get a rental, I'm gonna do my best to get reviews. I think that's a big deal. Number 2, straight advice here. Now, I don't have your actual data, but I'm gonna talk about PugPack data across the whole here. Over the last 100,000 calls, right? 100,000 phone calls that were called through our websites across various different clients here. Guess how many went unanswered? Take a guess. There's 3 people in my panel here. James, pick a number.
Of 100,000, I can pick
Out of 100,000. You give me a percentage, or if it's easier, you can give me a percentage.
Yeah, 5%. I don't
Okay.
know.
Michael.
40%.
Okay.
I was going to say half. Yeah.
All right. 16%. So Price is Right rules, James, you win. But that means out of 100,000 phone calls, over 16,000 went unanswered. Right? That's almost 1 in 5. That's 1 in 6 people that all this marketing did. And these are Pug people. These are people we love, and that we generally think PugPack do. They try to do best practices across their business, right? People who work with StoragePug typically they're not like a set it and forget it kind of people. They're like foot on the gas. They want to do their best. Those are the kinds of people we attract. But even those people, 1 in 6 people who call their facilities during the office hours. This doesn't include weekends. This doesn't include midnight phone calls. This is strictly from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday. 16%. That hurts my heart. Lane was talking about marketing mistakes on LinkedIn earlier this week, and one of her tips was like, honestly, just pick up the phone. And so that made me curious. I was like, let me look at our data. And it gave me a big heartburn, because I was like, this is crazy. There's a lot of leads that are being ignored. So,
well, Tommy, and I would say, just to add on that, out of the 16% that aren't being answered, there's probably, I would say, another 20% that they shouldn't have answered the phone, because the way they're doing it is horrible. Like, you got to take care in how you're answering the phone and what you're actually doing, because Michael, you said it exactly right. It doesn't matter how much technology you have and how many phone calls you're driving, how many website visits you're gathering every single month. If at the end of the day, when they are ready to make that phone call, or they just want to reach out, and whether it's on their website, how did that go? Or I'm trying to rent the unit and it messed up, or I called the facility and the person's crap on the other end. Like, the phone calls are extremely important, and in all the things that you're going to research to see, oh, is this working? Is that working? At the end of the day, it may actually be what's happening inside your office.
I love that. Yeah. So Roy, Leilani, that's you have your specific data, and I wouldn't air your dirty laundry if you were worse than 16%. But in aggregate, over the last 100,000 phone calls, that was a stat. And I was hoping for 5%, James. I was hoping to see.
No idea. Can I say
I
something about your first point about getting reviews? The data says you need to ask 7 times to get a review. And there's a software out there called Nice Job. Again, I don't have a dog in the fight, but they do a great job of following up to ask for those reviews. So if you only have 5-star reviews, it's probably because you didn't ask enough, really. Like,
what I loved so far, James, this whole entire thing, you came and you did your homework. I love that. But 2, you came in with outside the industry resources, and you brought a little flair to it, man. So yeah, I just put a link to Nice Job. I love their platform. It's the follow-up. So 7 is the stat.
7. Yep.
7
times.
So if you ask 4 times, you got 3 more to go.
Just for the record, I think Michael and I are still right. About half the phone calls as an industry go unanswered. Maybe PugPack is better than everybody else, and 16% are only going unanswered there. But as many facilities as I call, most of the time, no one's answering the phone.
Lane and Darby call more people at StoragePug than anyone else here, and they'll tell you, man, it probably is 50%, if not worse. When we're calling folks, and they don't know that we're calling to talk to them about marketing on websites. We could be a tenant. And yeah, it's truly baffling.
I
So,
was
yeah,
literally in Orlando a month ago speaking on stage at a cleaning conference, and I cold called power washing companies in Orlando as I was talking to power washing companies, like live on stage. And I was calling ones with 766 5-star review. I can't make this up, but I called the first one, 766 5-star, that rang 9 times, went to voicemail. The
wow.
next day, one of the other speakers like, did you hear about the speaker cold calling live on stage? And the guy's like, oh yeah. And the guy he cold calls sitting right here. And everyone's like, oh my gosh. Well, the guy leaves that session and he's coming at me. And of course he's like 6'5" and built like a tank and has like a side person. I'm like, I'm dead. I'm a dead man. This is how I die. I'm dead. I'm the nervous guy. So he comes up, he's like, did you call me yesterday at 1 o'clock? I'm like, yeah. And you didn't pick up. He's like, what time? And the marketing guy is staying right there making all these excuses. Well, it's out of state numbers. And the owner's like, we just didn't pick up the phone. Man.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm paying you thousands of dollars to get these leads and we don't pick up the.
Love that.
Yeah.
No, that's it. Just pick up
That's
the
it.
damn phone.
Mhm.
That's
So
another.
y'all, oh, go ahead, Michael. Go ahead.
Oh yes, beat the buzzer. That's another thing you can do without buying new tech is like set up your routing rules so that the phone's always answered by someone. I know owners that have 5, 10, 15 facilities that are just answering the phones themselves. At the very least, you need to have the phone ring 3 or 4 times, roll over to another site manager or another facility, and
Yeah.
or even roll over to a third-party call center, but someone has to answer the phone. Like
Mhm.
you spend all this time and effort figuring out how we're going to get people interested in renting with us, and then you're not picking up the money off the ground by just answering the phone. So
I love that. And to that point, one extension is to have extensions. Press 1 if you're a new customer. Press 2 if you just want to pay your bill. Press 3 if you're an existing customer that needs support. And that way you can potentially route that to either different people, different voicemail boxes, or there are tools out there that can take an online payment or not online, over the phone payment without having to like transfer to a real human. There are tools out there that do that. So some of your call volume can just be handled automatically.
Right.
So love all of this. So here we go. Question of the week. What single tech upgrade provides the best return on investment for your storage business? You get one answer. Single best tech investment that's going to bring the most ROI for your storage business.
I have one.
Ooh.
I'm gonna beat you guys to it. The telephone.
Cheat code.
Also, the oldest technology that we've talked about today.
Yes. This should have just been all about phones. We're going to rebrand
know,
this
right?
episode as the phone episode.
Now that I've said that, y'all can give your actual answer.
Yes.
in the spirit of Gabfocus, I'm going to take management software off the table and say websites.
Ooh, love that.
Mm.
One click rental, contactless
Hey.
rentals, full circle, y'all. Full circle.
There you go.
Love that.
We want to increase those route move-in and conversion rates, reduce on-site staffing. We want that contactless rental. Let's see if you can do it. That challenge is in your court.
Great, guys. Thank you so
I like
much.
it.
So, speakers, James, if people want to know more about you, know more about Metallica, know more about LiveSwitch, how do they find you?
2 easy ways. 1, LinkedIn. Connect with me on LinkedIn, reach out. I respond to anyone who reaches out. 2, you can just go to liveswitch.com, LiveSwitch.com. And then when you click demo, just say, I want to talk to James. I won't farm you out to anyone else. If you take his time on this, you can come to me directly.
Yeah. One day we got to get James more famous than James Hetfield because Google.
I know.
I saw that. It's hard to
Singer,
speak over.
Metallica. Love it.
Sorry, James.
It's
We love you.
okay.
I want to get your LinkedIn out there to the world.
me.
Michael, same question to you, man. How do people reach out to you or find out more about you or Cubby?
Yeah, it's really easy to find my LinkedIn. I've got a very unique last name, so I'm also on LinkedIn. I'll respond. My email is just michael@cubbystorage.com. You also can just go to cubbystorage.com, hit request a demo. It goes right to me. So those are the 3 easy ways to get in touch. Or if you want my cell, feel free to reach out to Tommy or Melissa directly.
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I've got all their contact info. So email me or Melissa and we'd be happy to forward you along.
EH at the end.
Oh, sorry. Yep. I let Google do all the fixing for me. Sorry.
All
Let's
good.
see. Spell it for me. BR.
EV, DEH. Yep.
DEH. There we go. Thank you so much, sir.
Yep.
There you are.
On LinkedIn. I
On
don't know.
LinkedIn.
I don't know what the org.com is, but
Yeah. Here, I'll just
anyway.
put LinkedIn here. There you go. No.
That's not me. I don't know.
No.
Yeah,
It
I
was
guess
up
I
there a
got
second ago.
Yeah, I know you're on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
not Mike. This is not the right Michael.
all good. I'll put it in the 1 second. I'll put it
There
in.
we go. Thank you. So I'll go ahead and put James's in the comments here. But yeah, please, y'all get out there and connect with these guys. LiveSwitch got a really cool platform. They're real tech enabled. Cubby's doing really cool things as well in self-storage. And honestly, honored to have you guys both on our stage today. And really, thank you for not only sharing your expertise, but your time and being so gracious. So y'all are fantastic. Thanks for coming out, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks
Thanks
for
for having
Thanks,
us.
guys.
Yeah,
Thank
have a
you.
good long week, everyone.
So next up for Melissa and I, you'll find this episode along with all past episodes on the the Gabfocus self-storage podcast, wherever you get them, Spotify or Apple. You can hang out with us on Facebook at the facebook.com/group/Gabfocus. And of course, all the videos are available for rewatch on YouTube and our website, storagepug.com. Next time, later this month, actually, July 24th, is future proofing with upgrades and expansions. This episode was so much about tech. This upcoming July 24th episode is going to be like the hard physical stuff, the tangible stuff that you can touch, feel, see, and smell. So hang out with us there. Y'all have a great rest of your day, and happy 4th of July, everybody. Enjoy the
Happy
3-day weekend with your family, and happy
Yep.
birthday, America.